Okay, this is part 3 of my alignments, profiles, and gradings training videos. In the previous part, I was talking about surfaces and feature line creation. And in the first part, I talked about alignments. This video is going to pick up on or continue from the first video on alignments. I chose to do grading surfaces before doing this video because it gives an explanation. After this video, you'll understand what surfaces are, or before this video, you understand what surfaces are, and so you'll have an understanding of what I'm talking about while I go through this and talking about profiles. So looking back at part 1, I had mentioned that an alignment is basically a cross section, a section line for a surface. So now we've talked about surfaces, so you know that a surface is elevation data for whatever area you're working on, and we have our cross section like we had created previously in part 1. We have our alignment here. So now in this part, what we're going to do is actually create that cross section, and that cross section is called a profile. So with that being said, we're going to go through the process of creating a surface profile and then a profile view. And that, it's a little bit confusing to understand. You can create a profile view without a surface profile, but you can't create a surface profile. You can. So you just can't create a profile without a profile view, but you can create a profile view without a profile. Confusing? Yes, I know. But I'll discuss that here. So a profile is going to be the line that actually represents your surface, your pipe, your whatever it may be that you're making a profile of. Your profile view is what's going to actually display your profile. So we have our alignment here that we created in part 1. So I'm going to go into my ribbon under the Create Design panel in the Home tab. I'm going to click this drop down and I'm going to click Create Surface Profile. It's going to pop up with this one, and we have my alignment C-road-CL for center line. And then it's showing surfaces that are in my drawing, showing my station range. So I started at station 10 plus 00, and my alignment length is 771 feet, or 771.94 feet long. So my end station is 17 plus 71.94. So I'm going to select my surface. If I had more, I would select more. So I'll select existing grade, click add, and now it adds that to my profile list. So again, my profile is the line that represents the section of where my alignment goes. Profile view is what displays your profile. So a couple things to pay attention to. We got our name of our profile, which is existing grade surface parentheses 1. It's type. It's just going to show up as this little graph here. Our data source, it's coming from our existing grade surface. Our offset is 0. We're not offsetting our alignment by anything. And there's 2 different ways that you can have it update. So you can have a static, so it does not change. So if you move your alignment at all, it's going to stay exactly how it is at this point in time forever, unless you change it back to dynamic. I always like to leave it at dynamic, because then if I move my alignment, my profile view is going to update, or my profile and profile view are going to update automatically. We have our layer. We can select what layer that's going to go on. I'm just going to leave it at the default for now. And then we have our style. And again, if, sometimes you may not have all these styles. You can always create more, but that is another very complicated topic that I'm not going to discuss in this video. So there's a design profile. So if this was your proposed design, you could use that. If you were creating an intersection, two crossing roads, you could use that. You could have layout. You could have left sample profile, right sample profile. But in this case, I'm going to stick to existing ground profile because that's what I have. And then it shows me my start and end stations. And then it shows me along my alignment here, the maximum and minimum elevation. So my minimum elevation, I almost have 100 feet in elevation difference. It's a huge profile. So there's two different ways that we could go about doing this. If we wanted to, if we accidentally added it, we could remove it. So next thing, we can either click this button for draw in profile view. So it'll then go through the process of creating a profile view for you, showing your existing grade profile. Or there's another way that we could do that. So I created my profile. This may show up for you. This is called Panorama. Don't worry about it. You could either hit this green check mark or hit the X. I'll go ahead and hit that green check mark. That's just acknowledging that. Moving on. So one way that you could do this is the first way you could click that draw in profile view, and that'll go through the same process that I'm about to show you now. The other way, if you do not click that button, is you can go over here to profile and section views, do the drop down for profile view, and we'll go to create profile view. So now you can see automatically I have a drop down for alignments. In this case, I only have one alignment. So I'll select that, and I could change the name. And let's say I'll call this profile view main road profile. So we have some profile view styles. This is another complicated topic that I will go into more detail on later on in the video. Main thing that you need to understand is profile views are typically shown with vertical exaggeration. Horizontal, right, and left, it is going to be true scale. You go over 1 foot, that's going to be 1 foot. You go over 10 feet, it's going to be 10 feet. Vertical exaggeration is where sometimes you can have your vertical scale multiplied by a certain amount. Let's say you have a vertical exaggeration of 5. So every foot that you would go up in your profile view, like how it's shown as 1 foot up, it'll actually be 5 feet. It's going to be 5 times larger than what it actually is because you have a vertical exaggeration of 5. If it's 10, it's going to be 10 feet. Sometimes you'll have 2, sometimes you'll have 5. And each company kind of has their preferred, company or jurisdiction has their preferred style that they like to use. There is some other ones in here that are typically shown. First view, full grid, intermediate view, last view. First, intermediate, and last view, those are split profile views. Not going to go into much detail, but if you have across your one sheet, if you have a very large elevation difference, then you can split it so that you can shift the start, the middle, and the end, or just the start and end, down and have them staggered so that you can show this very large elevation difference on one page and make it fit. And that's what those would be used for. In this case, I'm going to use, let's go with profile view. So that is the first thing. If you have offset profiles, then it'll stack it vertically. In this case, I'm not going to worry about that. So you can use it, have automatic, where it'll automatically set the station range from the start to the end. If you wanted to, let's say, have it only go to 15 plus 50 and not go all the way, then you can specify that here. In my case, I'm going to leave it to automatic. We'll hit next. And now this is profile view height. And just a moment ago, I was talking about split profile view. That's going to be what all of this is going to be in reference to. And right now, we're not going to worry about that. But you can see that there is this huge elevation difference that if this was your sheet, you would not be able to fit this entire profile on the sheet. It's just too tall. So what they did is they had this one shifted higher, this one shifted lower, and this one shifted higher. So it staggered your profile to make it all fit on one page. So in this case, all I'm going to do is worry about this top section here, which is profile view height. So automatically it'll set those. Typically you want to have, if you can fit it, about a couple feet showing above and below your profile. I'm going to let it be automatic for now. You can specify, and I'll show you how to specify after you've already created your profile view. Now we'll go to display options. When we first set up went through the create surface profile, we already went through this. We already set up where it'll update dynamically. Our data sources are existing grade. We have drawing it, yes, which is checked. Clip it grid, that's checked. Split it grid is checked. You can add a description if you would like. And then over here, the main thing that's important is our style, and you can add labels if you would like. Our style we already set up when we create the surface profile, so we don't have to worry about it. So we're just going to skip over this window and hit next. If you had water pipes or sewer/storm drain pipes, that this would be highlighted in blue, and you could go through that window. In this case, I'm not going to worry about that in this video. I'll show you what that looks like later on in this video. Data bands, I'll show you what those are, but those are, as this picture shows here, that'll show you your elevations at your grid lines of your existing grade. So if you had an existing grade and a finished grade, which is your final design profile, then you could click this drop down and select that finished grade. Typically, I don't know if this is the case for everyone, but this is what I've always seen. Your profile 1 is your existing grade, your profile 2 is your finished grade, and profile 1 is going to be the left band. The profile 2 is going to be your right band, and I'll show you what the left and right band is momentarily. You can change your style of those. You can have it represent geometry points, and so on. You can have it where it shows the top of the profile, the bottom of the profile, however you would like. And we do have a you can select your band set, which again, I'm not going to go into more complicated topic. So I'm going to go ahead and hit next. And this is, you could add a hatch. So if you're, the only time I've seen this used is for more exhibits to show to a client or anybody else who may want to see the exhibit, to show, oh, we have a lot of dirt that's going to have to be taken out, or we're going to have to bring in a bunch of dirt in order to make this project work. And this is what that'll do. So you can see cut area, which is taking dirt out, cutting it out, or fill, where you have to fill it in and bring in a bunch of dirt, or you could have multiple boundaries. So maybe you have a profile. This is where let's say only this area I'm concerned about. I'm going to be bringing dirt into these other areas. So you can create a profile to show that that other boundary. But in this case, I'm not going to hatch my profile. So I'm just going to go ahead and, now I've hit the end, it's grayed out next. So I'll hit create profile view. Now it says select profile view origin. So that's going to be bottom left corner of your profile view. I'm going to go ahead and click. And you can see now that I have my profile. And it did say that it was getting close to 100 feet in elevation difference, but if you were to actually measure this, it is almost 1,000 feet. So this profile view has a vertical exaggeration of 10. So I'll show that better here. So in this case, this line here is 5244. This is 5240. So I'm going to draw a circle, just an easy way to represent distance. And this actually has even more than I thought initially. This has a vertical exaggeration. Oh, it is 10. My bad. I misspoke there. It has an exaggeration of 10. So our elevation difference from this line, this blue line here, to this line here is 4 feet. And the actual distance measured is 40 feet across that 4 feet of elevation difference. So we have a vertical exaggeration of 10. It is 10 times the distance. If we were to bring it down further, that's 20 feet. So we went up, so we'd go 5242, 5244. So that's 2 feet that we went up, but it's 20 feet in distance. So it's 10 times more, 10 times exaggeration. It's a little bit complicated, but it's an easy way to show if you have bends in, let's say, a water pipe, and let's say you're trying to curve your pipe around, if you use the exaggeration to show, it exaggerates any issues that are going on with your surface. If something doesn't look right, when you add that 10 times exaggeration, it's now going to look really bad, like you're seeing here. This looks really steep. In reality, it is steep, but it's not that bad. I showed you guys the object viewer in the previous video. This is the same exact area. I just clipped it a little bit smaller, but it's really not that steep. I can show you the object viewer here. When you actually look at it, that's not that steep. That's nothing too crazy. There are parts that are steep, but it's overall not bad. But with that 10 times exaggeration, it makes it look bad. It exaggerates your issues. So going back to what we were talking about earlier with our bands. So this across here, all of these that are highlighted, these are going to be your bands, your band, B-A-N-D, bands. So profile 1 is on the left side. Profile 2 is on the right side. How I have personally always been told it is shown, left side is your existing grade, which is this red line that we see here. Right side would be your finished grade, which is your proposed style. May not always be that way. It depends on company standards or jurisdictional standards, whatever that may be, but it just depends. I personally have always seen it left side being existing, right side being proposed. So that is surface profile creation and profile view creation. So now I'll show you how to create a finished grade profile. So in your ribbon, under the Create Design panel, we're going to go ahead and go to this drop down, and we'll go to Profile Creation Tools. Now it's asking you to select a profile view. Again, our red line that you see on the screen here, that is our surface profile. Our profile view is going to be how we display our profile, our grid surface profile. So this grid here is our profile view. We're going to go ahead and select this. Now it's asking us, what do you want the name to be for a new profile? I'm going to make this C-road-FG for finished grade. Profile style is going to be design profile because it's going to be my design. And then we have label set. So we could set no labels, or we could have complete label set. In this case, I'll stick with complete label set. I'll hit OK. So now this may look like a similar window to you. This is a very similar window that we saw when we were creating alignments. But this one is specific to profile layout tools. And this will have very similar buttons and similar tools as alignment because they are related tools within Civil 3D. So I'm going to go ahead and again, feel free to look up on the Autodesk website for further explanation. You can find all of this. They'll explain every single button, what every button does. I just don't have enough time in one video to explain everything. So I'm going to go ahead and use this tool here, draw fixed tangent by 2 points. So I'll go ahead and select some point on here. And let's say I want it to go there. And then I want it to go here. And I'll snap to my endpoint. So now my finished road is going to go something like that. So like I was mentioning earlier, if I added the hatch, it would show hatching right in here for fill. And then a tiny little bit of hatching for cut right there. So now, again, I'll click my endpoint of my last line, and then I'll go up to here. And if this would be the end. So in the real world, what this actual thing is, there's a road going up to this, and it's a water tank up here. So this is a flattened out area for their water tank. So when I added those complete label sets, it's showing geometry points, my PVIs, point of vertical intersection. In feature lines and alignments, we have PIs, which are point of intersection. Since we are now dealing with an elevation point, it is point of vertical intersection. So these are geometry points. So it shows a grade break, which is where you have a PVI. That's where your grade changes from one slope to another slope. So you can see here it's also labeling our slopes. So it's 6.35% slope up, and then 4.61% slope up. And then we have the crazy 17.68% slope up. So these are considered grade breaks. These are very important. Typically, when you're doing grading, you have to label your grade breaks so the contractor knows, hey, something's going on here. The grading is changing. The slopes are changing at this point. That is a grade break. And in this case, these labels represent grade break at station, and then shows your station number, and it shows the elevation. So you can get an elevation start, elevation end, use your y equals mx plus b, and you could figure out the using your station length, your station points to get your length and your elevation difference. You can figure out what your slope is. But luckily enough, we don't have to do that math. Civil 3D does that for us. We have 6.35%. So that is profile creation tools. If you wanted to get rid of a segment, same as alignments, you can go ahead and select that, hit escape, and it's gone. If you wanted to add another PVI in the middle, maybe you wanted to slope down a little bit and have a smoother curve, you can do that. You can add a PVI. Maybe you decide, hey, that looks dumb. I don't like that. I'm going to delete that. You could go ahead and select that one, and it deletes it. You can also add, so in your alignment, you have your horizontal curves. As you see here, I have some cool, fancy looking curves that make it look all nice. Within Finish Grade Profile and Profile Creation tools, we can add vertical curves. So this is just the first option. We have a whole list of options here similar to alignments, but this one is 3 points. So it's asking for a second point now, and I will add a third point. So now in this case, it's going along. You have a rough change of little under 2% grade change. and then now it curves. So now this is a smooth transition. It makes for a very nice curve over your road. So this is what would be considered a vertical curve. You'll hear that a lot with roads, and typically roads and parking lots will have vertical curves going between two different grade percentages, as we have here. And then our labels for this. So we have vertical curve start, vertical curve end, or begin vertical curve start, begin vertical curve end vertical curve start, and end vertical curve end. It's a mouthful. Shows us our high point at station here, high point at elevation this. We have our PVI, so this point here and this point there. Or no, so our PVI is this. This is our point of vertical intersection. So if you drew lines tangent going in both directions, that's our tangent point right there, or the point where those two tangent lines would meet is at this station here, and then our elevation would be that. And the K, trying to remember exactly what both of these are. I don't typically use these too often, but it is, I believe this one is the radius. One of them is the radius, one of them is the curve length, or yeah, so length of vertical curve, and then that is the radius of the curve, which is your K value. So that is creating the profile. Earlier in this video, or even the previous video it might have been, I talked about panorama. So another thing that you can do with panorama is use that to create or to change your either your geometry point elevations or your slope percentages or anything like that. So I'm going to go ahead and click this green button, Profile Grid View. It'll bring up your panorama again. Let's see if I can make this larger. And typically I don't have it this long, but this is just for this video to show you all the information it has. So we have a curve radius, we have a K value, we have a profile curve length, we have profile curve type. So we have sag or crest. Crest is going to be up, sag is going to be down. We have grade change, grade in, grade out, PVI elevation, and your PVI stationing. I'm going to go ahead and make this smaller because all I care about to talk about are these. Since this is a fixed vertical curve from 3 points, I cannot edit this information. I have to use the grips to edit these. And that is one of the downsides to using that kind. If you were to use the free vertical curve or any of these ones down here, then you can use all of this information in panorama to edit those curve lengths, those K values, all of that. So in this case, I'm going to quickly show you how you can go through and edit these. So let's say that I want to change my station value. 10 plus 0, 0. So now I'll go to my start station, very beginning, because I want my road, my new road, to match my existing road. And I changed that, and it moved from somewhere over here to being somewhere over here. But now I have the issue where it's not at the correct location. It's not right. So I can now change it. So I can either grab this grip and move it up to where I want, or I could change the elevation by typing in the number if I know what I want it to match. So I'll do 5244. Hit enter, and now you can see that grip moved, and it's matching approximately at my existing grade. So now if I have, so since this is my start, this is my end, I have my grade out leaving this start point, or grade in going from this point, grading into the beginning. So let's say I want this to be 5%. Type in 5. So now it changes the slope of this to be 5%, and thus also changing the slope of this to be 5.6%. So that'll be grading in or out, and you can change these as much as you want, however you want. This curve, since it's a fixed curve, I can't really do much, but I can change this, move this grip around, or I could move this grip, and now you'll be able to see, obviously that road would not be great to drive on, but you can see that now that it's curving down, it's now a sag instead of a crest. So I'll change that back, make it look nice so that you're driving over it and you don't, small cars don't get hit a bump and get stuck. So that is profile creation tools. That is creating profile views, creating surface profiles, creating finished grade profiles. You can use these as, let's say, the center line of the road. You could make this your curb lip line, which would be the very start from the asphalt to the curb in gutter. Your lip is going to be that, and I'll show you really quick what the gutter line. So if this is the front of your curb where it's going up and down, so that's going to be front face of curb, top back of curb, and this is your curb lip. This would be asphalt here, this would be concrete, this is your gutter, this is where water would be flowing. That's going to be your lip. So you could have your profile representing that, you could have it represent your center line, you could have it represent your top back of curb, maybe a sidewalk if you had it. You can also have it represent pipe. I've seen it used as used for representing either the top or bottom of a proposed water line, whatever that information may be. So that is creating profiles. Last thing I'm going to talk about is just some uses, and I've kind of already gotten into that. So I'm going to show one use that I have. This is for the same site. I've already created it. I've already done some grading for it. But this green line here, I just changed the color of mine. But I also have my profile extending further out. So I started it here, but I have it extending out to show that I'm actually going to be blending into my road. You can see I have some vertical curves going along, and this green line is what this grading is representing. So you can see that I have a whole bunch of fill, I have some cut up here, and I'm going to be matching. I'm matching up at the top. So that's one use. That's going to be my center line of my new road is this green line. So that's one option. You could use finished grade or profiles to represent that. The other option would be for utilities. So this is another grading that I did, not the same grading or layout that you were seeing previously. This one had two roads coming from my main road, coming into a roundabout, and then two more roads coming in. I had my building and my parking lot, some basins, and another basin over here, along with the basin here. But what this one is showing, I have a profile over here, and this red line is representing my existing grade profile, or my existing grade. I just have it turned off here. The layer is frozen. But these blue lines is my utilities. I created a profile, an alignment and a profile. You can see my alignment here. And that is representing my storm drain and my sewer. So S for sewer, D for storm drain. So you can see that I have manholes. So there's a manhole, here's a manhole, here's my pipes showing. So I could see my elevations of my pipes and show how they're all connected. This is something that obviously would not be constructed. These pipes are way too steep, but this was just something I was doing for fun, just for practice. And I believe here I might actually have, so this red line is actually my finished grade surface. So you can see I have some curbs in here. I have a valley gutter through here. Another curb there. This is going down to existing grade. I have some more curbs down here. Some craziness going on there. I don't know what that is. I also have a retaining wall here with a sidewalk and my road and my curb and gutter. So that is finished grading. That is what we are working towards. And this is another use. This is how I can represent my finished grade surface and how it works with my drainage system and my sewer system. So those are some uses of profiles. And that is going to be part 3 of my alignments, profiles, and grading. If you have any questions, let me know in the comments. If you have any comments, maybe something that I said wrong, please let me know in the comments as well. I'm always happy to correct myself. I do make mistakes. So yeah, hope you enjoyed the video. See you next time. I'll be talking about feature line grading. Finally starting to get into grading. Thank you for watching.